I'm talking today to Dr. Patrick Beeman. He is a board-certified OBGYN and addiction medicine physician based in Lorain, Ohio. Dr. Beeman splits his time clinically treating addiction as the medical director of an opioid treatment program in Amherst, Ohio, and working as an OBGYN at Veranova Health in Middleburg Heights, as well as Mercy Regional Medical Center, which is also in Lorain. So after serving in the U.S. Air Force, Dr. Beeman returned to his hometown to serve patients in Lorain County. He is the founding medical director of Veranova Health. That's a clinic that takes a restorative and holistic approach to women's health, especially around mental health, fertility, and chronic pelvic pain. Beyond clinical work, he's been active in bioethics and medical education. He is the founder of Inside the Boards, a study platform for med students, and Arslanga Media, which is a health media and creativity company. And it is so good to see you again. And that's like one heck of an intro. You are a really, really big deal. Like, can I take a breath? It's good to see you.
Well, thank you.
And I think what a lot of you don't realize is that you and I work together quite a bit. You wear so many hats. And one of those hats is with the Addiction Recovery Project.
Yes. And I appreciate you getting interested in this and involved, because I have been trying to make this project move forward for like 4 years from the time I first conceived of it.
Yeah.
Well,
let's go back in time to September, because that's when I met you.
Yes.
And that was one of the first things, right?
Correct. Yeah, that was, we have Arslanga Media made some forays into creating addiction media and education content, but really the first specific kind of dedicated media shoot, like bigger project, was the Recovery Stories thing that we did in September, where you kindly came aboard to share your story with a couple other people.
I want to make a difference, and everyone else there that day was in that same space.
Yeah.
Talk more about the Addiction Recovery Project and just how it all works. Your goals moving forward, because this is fairly new.
My interest in this, when I got back to Lorain from the Air Force, I knew that I wanted to treat addiction, get into that kind of space formally, started pursuing board certification, and through my work, helping med students prepare for their board exams, just got connected to just some leaders in the, addiction medicine space. And we ran a series for medical students and, other trainees in medicine, specifically on addiction, because surprisingly, you'd think it would be more, but at least some stats from a couple years back, medical school is 4 years long. It's a fire hose of information, but on average, only 2 hours is dedicated specifically to information and education on addiction, despite the fact that it touches all specialties. Pretty much every doctor, regardless of their specialty, is going to encounter addiction and needs to know about it. And I kind of wanted to remedy that situation. So did that project, and I started thinking, man, we need, especially from things I'd observed, like clinically with patients, stories I've heard, stigma is a big problem.
It sure is. Sadly.
Sadly, even in healthcare, if I'm honest, I've just witnessed a lot of sad stories that just disappoint me for our profession in terms of how patients who have addiction are treated in hospital and clinic settings often. And I wanted to change that and, contribute to getting the message out there that addiction is a treatable disease, and that these are human beings like all of us.
Correct.
Who don't have addictions and who have dignity and deserve, especially when they're coming into a healthcare setting asking for help, to receive that help in a way that is indeed dignified.
Yeah.
So it just kept going. And I've always had an interest in music. So in my mind, I thought, well, geez, there's a bunch of artists, and it just does seem generally that people with a creative bent are more prone to addictive disorders, and a lot of them are in recovery. And I thought, man, if you can go from being at the bottom, at the rock bottom of addiction and rise to success in a field like the entertainment industry, then that's inspiring.
It sure is, yeah.
It'd be inspiring to my patients that I see every day. It's inspiring to me, and I think that sort of a marriage between healthcare and people who have platforms and the ear of a fan base would be a perfect kind of match to get the word out. Because I mean, we doctors can talk, but frankly are usually not as interesting as somebody in rock and roll or whatever. So
I hear you.
So that's kind of where it was born.
Okay. Well, we're going to be shortly, you're going to see on Abruptly Authentic, diving into my cancer journey. So you and I go into detail about that. But I really want to applaud you on the work that you do for addiction and mothers that are addicted. And you just touched on this, because there is no reason that they should not be cared for because of addiction. And it saddens me to think that that happens.
Probably pregnant women who are addicted to opioids or whatever are probably the most stigmatized category of patients that I have witnessed in my time now, 15 years out of med school. And I find that heartbreaking as an OBGYN.
I can't imagine.
And it's just really disappointing and sad to witness this, because there are treatments, especially for opioid addiction, that are indeed effective and can get people off fentanyl and not only reduce the risk of dying, but, get them to the point where they are thriving in life and really being the moms that they want to be.
Yes.
Right?
And I'm assuming a lot of these women want to be those moms.
I would say, yeah, that's definitely
Right?
the majority. I mean, an interesting just aspect of my life and a privilege I've had is to have a window into, people's very personal kind of stories and what they really deeply feel, their authenticity, where they don't have to worry, about whatever they say, because stays in the exam room.
Says a lot about you.
Well, and our profession, to be fair, we take an oath to kind of guard those secrets.
I get that.
But, pretty much everyone who comes in who is willing, able, and overcomes that embarrassment, shame, and says, hey, I need help. They do want to change, but...
And they deserve that right.
They do, and they deserve help, because no one really recovers alone. I mean, it's just the fact of the matter, right? And it's not as simple as popping a pill. That can be helpful, even with smoking cessation. Put a nicotine patch on may help ease somebody off nicotine, but people need, we say, wraparound services, but it's not just like the medical contact. It's, if you've been dealing with addiction, you might be involved in the justice system with pending charges and social services, and may not have any money to buy a car seat and all these practical things. I mean, it's hard to be a parent nowadays. And I think it's especially hard where I'm from in Lorain County, because we have such a big problem with opioids and poverty. And, I want to do what I can to help solve that.
And you are. And that's why when I met you, the Addiction Recovery Project, was explained to me, obviously. And I just think that it's wonderful what you're doing. And it's going to make a difference. It already is, quite honestly.
Really, I'd like to thank you for, putting your influence and presenting this project to your fan base.
You're welcome.
As well as Rowdy Beans Coffee
I appreciate that. And
with Abruptly Awake, which I
correct.
just tried about an hour ago to get through the afternoon. It's pretty good.
It's really good.
Funding is always an issue, creating media and art and especially things in the addiction space. And it's just,
Well,
thank you for
You
being
are
willing.
very welcome, because this is meaningful to me, because I want to make a difference. And this is why this project is so near and dear to me. And could you just explain where profits go for Abruptly Awake coffee, obviously right now, but there's going to be other things in the future. I mean, we're always trying to do more and more to end the stigma.
Right.
So just talk about that.
What we want to do is tell recovery stories, right? To put out content that educates professionals and the public about addiction and addresses the problem of stigmatization. So, for example, in the pipeline, we've been working on a cover album of songs related to addiction recovery. I'd like to call Punk Goes Recovery. So songs that have that thematic element to a new generation in a way that helps promote and elevate the story that we're trying to tell, that addiction is a disease and it is treatable.
Yeah.
So we've got, the documentary style stuff to just tell those recovery stories.
Like what we did last September.
Correct.
And I think the whole break the stigma is really important. And I think the bottom line, if I'm hearing you correctly, is no matter what it is, be it music, be it, testimonies, be it other things that come up that haven't come up yet, all those profits are going towards addiction recovery.
Yes. Yep. And the addiction recovery, you have a thing on your website, abruptlyauthentic.com.
Correct.
That just goes into a little more detail about the project and kind of the work that we're, all trying to do. I'm interested in getting others who have a voice, who are creative, who have ideas, who want to help shape the direction of this just to reach that goal. Get more people into treatment, get more help for families, bring that support so that people can take, their creativity and use it as an outlet that replaces, the addiction or helps better to prevent it from occurring. So, like for instance, my friend has a studio, and we'd like to be able to fund artists to come in, like young kids or whatever it is, to come record music for free and help them support or kick off their own kind of careers or endeavors within music.
Full circle, one of the things that always stood out for me about that video that I was a part of, and recently I did put it up on my socials as part of this campaign just to show addiction does not discriminate.
Absolutely.
That is so powerful.
Yeah.
It does not discriminate.
The real story of this is there is about 50% of, addiction is attributable to genetics. And if you draw those unlucky cards, plus, have an environment where people are offering it to you all the time, or that's all that's ever been known in your family or social circle, like you're kind of set up for failure and when it comes to developing the actual disease. So, it just breaks my heart every time I see a patient who, has this kind of problem.
I can't imagine. I mean, it breaks my heart to see people on my own social that, open up, and it's always so beautiful. And I'm sure you can relate to this, to see them opening up in a space that is public, because we all know I'm public. And to see them have the bravery to open up and say, I'm struggling today on my space. So I could only imagine a patient coming to you saying, these hard things. I would imagine it's really hard for a mom to come to you and say, I am struggling. I took this, help. And you're not scarlet lettering this person.
Right.
You're helping.
Yes. Yep. because help is available and it's actually pretty decently effective, like more effective. Like a lot of the treatments that we have for, addiction, especially opioid use disorder, are equally, if not way more effective than what we do to treat high blood pressure or, diabetes.
Sure.
So, and sadly, only about 20-ish% of people that could be diagnosed with, for instance, an opioid addiction actually end up getting treatment. So that leaves a huge vulnerable population to the consequences of it, like overdose death.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just affect that person, but, a young mom with kids now, it's just, we all know people like this. And
We do.
so appreciate you telling yours. Very public story. I think you've, really turned things around and
Thank you.
put what could have been a very just simply shameful thing that you would have hid from.
Well, that's what I did before.
Right.
So no more hiding.
Well, that's the lesson, I think.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. Can I, on that note of recovery stories, plug something else?
Yeah. The more the merrier is what I say.
This is The Addictaholic Deconstructed by my friend and fellow addiction doc, Dr. Nicole Labor, also from Ohio. And she has her own recovery story to tell after developing a heroin addiction in medical school. And, now she is a practicing physician and I think has been sober for like 2 decades.
It's amazing.
And personally, having read a lot of stuff on addiction, this is the best kind of intro or primer on addiction for either public or professional audiences.
I love that.
So I would highly recommend this book. Plus, we stole this title as part of our podcast in the works. So.
I love that. No, and it speaks volumes, pun intended, about, no, think about that. Think about that. An addict, now a doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Addiction does not define you.
Correct.
You can change your life.
Exactly.
You can rise.
Amen.
Okay, so you just got done talking about this amazing book.
Yes.
2 decades,
Great
an
book.
addict, the author of this book, is now a doctor.
Yep.
Okay. There is life after addiction.
Absolutely.
In your darkest moments, you might not see that that's a potential, but it is. It is. And it's a lot of hard work, but you can start a show. You can become a boss. You can be an author. You can do anything you want to do. Addiction does not have to define you if you don't let it define you. And once you realize that, and once I feel like as a team here, continue to talk about these things that are still stigmatized and hard, I think that more and more we realize how powerful we are.
Absolutely.
As people. You have to take your power back. Don't let the addiction take the power.
I tell patients, like, if you can beat this,
Yes.
you'll be unstoppable.
Correct.
So.
I like to call it limitless.
And thanks to everyone out there who's purchased, Abruptly Awake, because my wife will not let me put any more of my own money towards making this project happen. And so your support is much appreciated. Yeah.
That's sweet. And it's really good. But I just have to personally thank you as well for all the purchases so far. We're going strong. And I think the coolest thing about all of this is that we are ending a stigma with coffee, and you know what I mean? Just know that you're helping out something that really matters. And it's a movement. And if I recall correctly, I loved what I saw about the Addiction Recovery Project talking about
Addictaholics Anonymous. Yeah, that's the podcast I want to do with
I love that.
Yeah.
So again, thank you. Thank you. Because believe me, I know. And I see every one of you that have been part of this already. And I just want to personally thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I know Rowdy Beans feels the same. And I know everyone at the Addiction Recovery Project feels the same. And let's keep on buying the bags. Or if you, for some reason, don't like coffee, what is wrong with you? Get a mug. Just get a mug. Something
as
like
a
that.
gift.
Yeah, get a mug and just know that it's really helping out something that is huge. This was a good chat.
Yeah.
How about
Thanks.
next time we talk more about ovarian cancer?
We can do that.
Yeah.
And then we should get into the newest kind of clinical thing I'm doing. Veranova Health at Cornerstone is specifically in Lorain County, a clinic focused on treating addiction, within, the pregnant population. So I'd love to kind of plug that.
I'm glad you did. That would be called a deep tease, what you just did there. But you're going to start to see more and more of Dr. Beeman as we continue along this road, which is looking very, very promising.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Highways of love. Is it gonna be